Now, the Root of Nightmares raid is coming out this weekend on Friday, and I posted a video on the ending completion cutscene like the recent raids have done with the recent expansions, and that did really well on my channel. Thanks for the support on that. So I wanted to cover a lot of Root of Nightmares content. We're going to go over the raid exotic, the raid boss, perks, the encounters, really all that type of stuff that you can probably get out for the raid. I use this video as more of a way to be like, oh, I cannot wait to see what it is. I think Lightfall really disappointed us all, and I think the next thing on our horizon is the Root of Nightmares raid, and if this raid slaps, then it's really going to help out with reviews when it comes to Lightfall. Better, I don't know if it will really, take away all the negativity that has passed, but I think Bungie really needs to go all out with this raid, similar to how Val really helped out with the Witch Queen. But with Witch Queen, it was already really good, so we're going to need a really good raid if we want to turn some things around. And remember, there's only one new raid a year, and then one reprise raid later on in that seasonal year, so one new raid a year. Bungie, let's hope you are planning a good one. And if you guys don't mind, subscribe, like, and join our server, as only 10% subscribe when they watch my videos. You guys are amazing. I love you all. Thank you so much for 20K. You guys are awesome. Let's try to get to 25K. So subscribe for more Destiny content. So let's talk about some story stuff before we get really into the main nitty gritty of weapons and gear and encounters and all that. So with, of course, Callus being dead after the Lightfall campaign, you killed him. The Witness did the whole final shape thing, I think, veiled thing, I'm not really sure, to left. What the raid is going to really focus on is, at the beginning of the Lightfall campaign, if you remember, the Traveler shot out a huge beam at the Witness's capital ship, I believe. And with that, ship, he basically just left it there, and the raid is going to be focused in that area. The main antagonist with this raid will be Nezarec. Now, in Season of the Plunder, we saw some hints to him. The whole entire story of Plunder was really focused on collecting the Darkness Essence from Nezarec, and guess who drank it to be, lifted from a coma? Osiris, who is now in Neomuna to this day. So it could be a little plot twist that Nezarec actually lured us all here to Neomuna because of the drink Osiris drank that really was putting out the Neptune Neomuna idea back in Seraph. But who knows, and we'll probably find out more about the lore and the story with Nezarec, as it will be the raid boss. So it's going to be really cool. Here's a photo of the raid boss of him. I think he's a really cool boss. He definitely has that rogue vibe to him, and I think they're really going to bring a lot more of that vibe, the Witness pyramid ship type vibe, to a lot of the raid bosses we're going to see in the future, and probably going to see a boss similar to this in the final shape raid. So really good stuff there. Now, for the encounters, to just go into it, I'm going to read out all the main objectives in this raid. Now, there's a lot. With Vow and with Deepstone, there was really like 4, 5, 6 objectives. Do one objective for each encounter. This raid, we're seeing a lot more than that, and it looks like it's going to be it's hard to pinpoint, who exactly, what is going to happen throughout the raid, because we don't know really that. That's like the main thing we can't pinpoint, but we can also, again, just speculate on what it could be. So with the encounters, first it's going to ask you to find Nezarec. That's going to be the first thing. Then it's going to ask you to charge the route, return to Nezarec, defeat the Expurgator. Now, the Expurgator will be the second boss. Now, I just want to point out the raid is going to have a total of 4 encounters with 2 puzzles. What is it? I keep jumping puzzles, my god. Jumping puzzles, yes. So we're going to have the first encounter, which is probably going to not be too hard, but it's going to be like the starting encounter to the raid to probably, let us know, introduce us to the mechanics. We'll have the first jumping puzzle. That will bring us to the second encounter. The second encounter will be the Expurgator, which is the first boss, and here is what he looks like. He looks like a really cool Scion boss, to be honest. I could see him being basically the caretaker of this raid. We'll get into the third encounter, and then after the third encounter, the last jumping puzzle, and then the last encounter will be Nezarec. So it's going to be a total of 4 encounters. I think that's a good fit for raids going forward. 4 is definitely like the sweet spot that we've been looking for. Now, to continue back onto the encounter list, I did say find Nezarec, return to the route, and next will be defeat the Expurgator, and then it does say defeat Nezarec. Then it says lay Nezarec to his final rest, continue exploring the pyramid, make your way across the chasm, charge the route again, reach the entrance of the route, enter the route again, locate Nezarec at the place of his newfound power, overcharge the route to fuel Nezarec's return, survive the onslaught, locate Nezarec's body in his encasement, cross the chasm, and confront the Expurgator and disrupt his influence, fight for control, and stay alive in the pyramid. So as you can see, I don't know if it was entirely in order, but you could definitely see a lot of the Expurgator and a lot of Nezarec. And with Nezarec being basically confirmed at this point, the Expurgator will be also a really cool boss to be added onto. And like I said, there was going to be 2 jumping puzzles, and it's going to look like there's going to be 2 secret chests within this raid. The raid exotic is called Conditional Fatality. Is it a kinetic shotgun? And basically with this kinetic shotgun is that on the left hand side of the shotgun it is full of solar bullets, and then on the right side it's full of stasis bullets. And it's basically going to be, like I said, a shotgun in the kinetic slot with having 2 elements. Basically, if you shoot your enemy with this gun with all the solar pellets leaning at the enemy, it's going to explode the enemy, and if you shoot it more with all the stasis bullets, it's going to, of course, freeze the enemy. Now, having this will be really interesting because I feel like having 2 elements, as always, is a very, good combination with the weapon. It makes the weapon a bit more unique, and with Two-Tailed Fox now having like 3 elements basically in one now with the new catalyst, it's just going to be something that Bungie might, continue with going forward with, adjusting and putting all these new, flavors of different elements together, having maybe like Strand and Void, who knows. That's definitely something to look out for the future. So like I said, there will be that exotic, and that exotic is likely going to come out with a ornament, and it's probably going to come out with a catalyst, likely, as there's already catalyst apparently in the database. To what we can speculate as for the catalyst, we don't really know, and it's probably not going to be likely revealed until later on. Again, time will tell on how Bungie will put it in, if they are going to put it in until later on and maybe a master mode of this raid, or actually delay it until a later date, because again, time will tell with that type of stuff when a catalyst is added. Now, with the weapons and armor, let's just say it's a very intriguing one. There is a lot of weapons, and I believe there's the same amount of weapons as King's Fall. I think 6-5 around those type of weapons. Now, when it comes to the raid perks that you can expect on these weapons, as we don't have every exact perk on all the weapons, unfortunately, guys, which kind of really sucks, because I would love that, but that's not how it works sometimes before raid launches. But here are some of the raid perks. Again, they're still updating. Take a grain with salt, but they're still updating on these. So one of the perks, for example, is when this weapon's damage type matches your subclass, it sustains damage scorching targets. Now, we have copies of this perk, but it has a different effect. So it sustains damage, blinds targets, aiming down sights for a short period of time causes your next shot to make a target volatile, so we can expect Void on that one if you're using the Void subclass. This one says if you have matching damage type with your subclass, it sustains damage, slows targets, so that's stasis. And I believe this one sustain damage from it suppresses targets, which could also be Void. Aiming down sights for a short period of time causes your next shot to jolt, and then aiming down sights for a short period causes your next shot to suspend a target on hit. So as you can tell from all the perks I just said, that if you're matching a subclass to each whatever subclass, Arc, Void, Solar, Stasis, Strand, whatever it is, and if it matches with that set unquote weapon, it's going to do an extra effect, uniquely to that class. Scorches targets, blinds, freezes, suspends. You get the idea picture. It's something very interesting, and it probably will be, with the weapon, whatever element it is grabbed upon. And again, there will be special, there will be kinetic, and there will be heavy weapons. So this could also go all the way around. And it'll be pretty interesting if you could get like a Strand energy weapon, a Strand kinetic, and a Strand heavy, and then having this perk, and then it helps suspend targets, whatever you use upon with this. It makes the raid weapons a bit more potent, and I gotta admit that's going to be very interesting for builds too. Now, final blows of energy types matching this weapon's alignment grants increased damage for a short period of time. Light final blows boosts arc, solar, and void weapons. Darkness final blows boosts stasis and strand weapons. Now, apparently, this is going to be the origin trait as well. This will be the origin trait. Equipping multiple weapons from this set grants this weapon increased reload speed and handling. It also deals increased damage versus Tormentors, Lucent Hive, and Guardians using their supers. Now, this is interesting, as Bungie is going to, of course, always, like they always do, put more PvE and PvE, again, with these, raid weapons, and it's awesome. Tormentors are very strong things, as well as Guardians with their super in a Trials game. So no matter what raid weapon you do have, and if you have this origin trait, if you get a drop from the raid, you're going to get increased damage and help against those tougher combatants and tougher Guardians. So I find that perk very interesting. I want to know what it will actually help with, like what exact damage it will, sustain and how much it will do. But time will tell until the raid launches. It's very intriguing, though, to see that they're going in that route. But again, not too much of a surprise because people, love that. And it's always likely that we're going to get something around that. So that really covers up that. Now, what can we also expect from this raid, Redrix? Well, this raid is going to have a lot of symbols. Yes, here's a picture of symbols that you're going to have to start memorizing. I definitely tell your friends to send this video over to them. Tell them watch it, subscribe, like, tell Redrix he's cool, but also memorize these symbols. These symbols are going to likely be something inserted within the encounters, probably Nezarec and the I can't say his name right. Whatever the other raid boss is, and maybe throughout the encounters over the entire raid, as you never know when mechanics throughout a raid will ever just go in overall to every mechanic in the raid. I know that sounds a little bit gibberish, but I'm basically saying it might be a mechanic that we're going to follow suit with throughout each encounter. So be aware to memorize those symbols. Be aware that you're going to have maybe some vibes with Vow. I could definitely see. If you know what Vow is, if you played Vow, you're going to get some of that maybe vibe with this raid, as guess what? Hence, it's in a pyramid ship. What was Vow in? A pyramid ship. So there you go there. But I wouldn't expect too much similarity, as I think Bungie is trying to switch up a lot of that, symbols from that raid over to this one. And it can be confusing having some similar symbols all the time, so hopefully Bungie doesn't make it too similar, make it a bit more unique. Little fun fact, Nezarec will be using a hammer, which is very intriguing as the weapon, and it's going to be a moving boss, so that is very, an interesting detail there when you guys get to the final boss of the raid, if you do get it in the first 48 hours. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. It really wraps us up. This is going to be a big raid, guys. It's going to have Nezarec. It's going to have a pyramid ship. It's going to have a lot of weapons. It's going to have a new armor set. And we didn't really go into a lot on the armor set because we don't have a lot of stuff with the armor set. But as I said earlier, if you have the armor set equipped, it's going to help you sustain more damage with the weapon. And when the raid armor does come out, I'll let you guys know. But yeah, stuff like that to be aware about when you are getting ready for the raid. I might make like a video, details to look at narratively, or like just weapons to use, maybe a little guide for that on Thursday or something before you guys launch into the Root of Nightmares raid. Big other thing, I will be streaming it on day 1, so why don't you come over, subscribe, like, and turn on the bell and never miss out on any live streams, because I always love live streaming the raids day 1. Very interesting thing of mine. But other than that, guys, I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys. Have a good one.